The recreation deck of Station Kepler 442 buzzed with the usual afternoon energy as children from various species gathered for their daily playtime. Marcus Chen wiped grease from his hands with a worn rag, taking a brief break from maintenance duties to watch the youngsters. His weathered face, marked by years of tinkering with broken machinery across the galaxy, softened as he observed their innocent games. Most of the children were engaged in a spirited game of anti-grav ball, their laughter echoing through the vast chamber as they soared through the air using personal gravity manipulators. The Xanthari kids moved with fluid grace, their serpentine, bodies undulating as they twisted through three-dimensional space. The robust Corvin children powered through with brute force, their rocky skin glistening under the artificial lights. Even the diminutive pixie folk darted about like living sparks, their natural flight capabilities giving them unique advantages. But one child remained on the sidelines. Zara sat quietly on a bench, her large violet eyes following the game with obvious longing. She was Etherian, a species known for their ethereal beauty and natural telekinetic abilities. Her silver hair cascaded down her shoulders like liquid starlight, and her pale blue skin seemed to glow with an inner luminescence. However, unlike others of her kind, Zara's left leg was withered and weak, a birth defect that prevented her from joining most physical activities. Marcus had noticed her during his previous shifts. Every day she would come to watch, and every day she would leave disappointed. Today was no different, it seemed. "Hey there, kiddo," Marcus called out as he approached her bench. His tool belt jingled softly with each step. Zara looked up, surprised that the human maintenance worker was addressing her. "Hello, sir," she replied politely, her voice carrying the melodic quality typical of her species. "Why aren't you playing with the others?" Marcus asked, settling down beside her on the bench. Zara's expression fell. "Sorry, sir. I can't play." "Ball," she said quietly, gesturing toward her damaged leg. "The anti-grav harnesses are designed for people who can use both legs properly. I always fall behind, and the other children—" She trailed off, not wanting to admit how some of them had made cruel comments about her disability. Marcus studied her for a moment, his mechanical mind already beginning to work. Throughout his 40 years as a ship's engineer and station mechanic, he had learned that every problem had a solution. It just required the right approach and a willingness to think outside conventional parameters. "Tell you what," Marcus said, standing up and adjusting his tool belt. "Give me 3 days, then come back here, same time." Zara tilted her head, confusion evident in her large eyes. "What do you mean, sir?" Marcus winked. "Humans have a saying. Where there's a will, there's a way. Trust me on this one." For the next 3 days, Marcus threw himself into his project with an intensity that surprised even his colleagues. He worked through his breaks, stayed late after his shifts, and even came in during his off days. His workshop became a maze of salvaged parts, technical schematics, and empty coffee containers. The challenge was complex. Standard anti-grav harnesses relied on the user's ability to shift their body weight and use both legs for directional control. Zara needed something entirely different, something that would compensate for her physical limitation while allowing her to compete on equal terms with the other children. Marcus began with a standard harness, but quickly realized he needed to rebuild it from the ground up. He incorporated elements from various technologies, stabilizing gyroscopes from damaged navigation systems, micro-thrusters from old maintenance, pods, and even some components from a broken exoskeleton suit that had been gathering dust in storage. The breakthrough came when he remembered watching Zara use her telekinetic abilities to reach items on high shelves. Unlike most Etherians who had strong telekinesis, Zara's abilities were modest, but they were still there. Marcus realized he could create a neural interface that would translate her telekinetic impulses into directional commands for the modified harness. On the third day, as afternoon approached, Marcus made his way to the recreation deck carrying a sleek silver device that looked unlike any anti-grav harness the station had ever seen. The standard harness was bulky and utilitarian, but Marcus's creation was elegant, almost organic in its curves and design. Zara was in her usual spot on the bench, watching the other children play. Her face lit up when she saw Marcus approaching, though uncertainty flickered in her eyes. "Is that?" she began. "Your new harness," Marcus confirmed, holding up the device. "But this isn't just any harness. This one was built specifically for you." As Marcus explained how the device worked, a small crowd began to gather. Other children paused their game, curious about the strange new equipment. Some of the adults on the deck, including a few Etherian parents, moved closer to observe. "The neural interface here," Marcus pointed to a small crystal embedded in the harnesses, "collar, will read your telekinetic impulses. Even the smallest thought-based movement will be translated into directional thrust. Your unique abilities aren't a limitation. They're the control system." Zara's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You mean I can fly using my mind?" "Not just fly," Marcus grinned. "You'll have precision control that none of these other kids can match. Their harnesses are crude compared to what you'll be capable of with this system." With trembling hands, Zara allowed Marcus to help her into the harness. The device seemed to mold itself to her body, adjusting automatically to her unique physiology. As the power systems came online, she felt a gentle humming sensation throughout her body. "Now just think about moving forward," Marcus instructed. Zara closed her eyes and concentrated. Slowly, gracefully, she began to rise from the bench. Her damaged leg, which had always been a source of shame, was now irrelevant. She was flying, not just floating, but truly flying with a control and elegance that made the other children stop their game entirely. "How does it feel?" Marcus called out. Zara's response was pure joy, a laugh of delight that echoed through the recreation deck as she performed a perfect loop, her movements fluid and precise. The other children watched in amazement as she demonstrated aerial maneuvers that their crude harnesses could never achieve. "Can I play now?" she asked, hovering gracefully near the other children. "I think," said one of the Zenthari children, "you're going to be the best player we've ever had." As the game resumed with Zara not just participating but excelling, Marcus packed up his tools with quiet satisfaction. Around the galaxy, humans were known for their adaptability, their refusal to accept impossible situations, and their talent for finding solutions where others saw only problems. Today, watching Zara soar through the air with confidence and grace, Marcus knew he had upheld that reputation. Sometimes, the greatest engineering achievements weren't about building bigger ships or more powerful weapons. Sometimes they were about giving one small girl the chance to play ball with her friends. The game continued late into the evening, filled with laughter and the kind of joy that transcends species barriers. And in his workshop later, Marcus began sketching designs for other adaptive technologies because he had learned something important. When humans set their minds to solving a problem, they don't just find a way, they find a better way.